For project, you remember, Karen, this class that you guys are paying for, two classes with your friend Chad, is really two components. One of them is estimating, and I think we did a great job. I think, Matt, we did a great job of hammering you guys with a lot of estimating, from the Excel sheet into Acumen, into McCormick. We crammed a lot of stuff in your brain, and we're still doing it. In terms of lecture, we have a book for it, really nice Mike Waltz book, the electrical estimating. The second component of it, guys, is a project management. So for project management, you can have a bachelor degree in project management. You can have a master degree item in project management. So project management is a wide topic that can cover a lot of stuff. And that's probably the ultimate goal for all of you guys at one time, if you were to stay in this industry, is to be a project manager, managing your own projects. So what I picked, this is very simple one, guys. I don't know if you have the most up-to-date practical project management book for you. That's the one that I use. I did not ask you guys to buy it. I just picked a couple of PowerPoint presentation from it. It's called Practical Project Management. And I also, when I talk about project management, Karen, I always have this book that's called 1 Minute Manager. Um, that's one very simple book. So what I advise you guys, when you become project manager, this is a really nice book to read. It's called 1 Minute Manager. 1 Minute Manager, summarize it, Kieran. When you manage people or process or whatever, you have 3 minutes. They call them 3 minutes. 1 minute is to set goals. So what are your goals for this team? And the other minutes is to set expectation. So you set your goals, make sure your goals are very clear, that what you want to achieve for your people who work for you. I know you guys looking at me and saying, oh boy, we're still working for people. But one time, guys, you'll be the managers, and you probably will come back here done with to do a degree or somewhere else in management if you want to go up in the ladder. So one minute, you set your goals. Another minute is to set your goals and expectation. And the second minute is to praise people for the things that they do. And if you did something good, you should be not reprimanded. You should be saluted, whatever, compensated for your good things, and also reprimand people for doing something that's not good for the cause. So it talks very simple, Adam. It talks about how to manage a human being who are different. And most of the time, when you guys manage people, you're going to find managing processes easier. Managing people is different. We're different people, different attitude, different backgrounds, different a lot of things. So I suggest to read this one if anybody wants to read that one. That's a good. But the one that we're using is called Practical Project Management, Karen. Practical Project Management has bunch of chapters in it. Has 12 chapters in this book. Very simple, very easy. And it talks about managing a project. How do you manage a project from A through Z? So what I suggest, like I did not make it required for you guys, but feel free to buy that book. So I'm going to just go over the chapters that they go through in this book because you guys don't have it. The first chapter, which is this, you're looking at it, it's called Introduction to Project Management. What is a project management? We'll talk about this one today. And then there's another chapter, so talk about change. Karen, I'm sure you and I are, old enough to see a lot of things. There's a lot of change. People resent change, guys. When you're at work and you're trying to make change, it's when you have an employee that have been working there for 15 years and you switch a software for them. Have you noticed, guys? There's a lot of people right now changing in our industry related to Revit and AutoCAD. There's a lot of old timers saying, well, I'm 2 more years, I want to retire. I don't want to learn this software. Change. So how do you deal with change in a project? Chapter 3 talks about leadership and motivation. When you are leading a 15 or a 20 group of engineers or electrical designers, guys, in an engineering firm or contractors, how are you supposed to motivate them and lead them to achieve the best that they can achieve in order to have a successful project? There's so many ways of achieving that one. So that's a good chapter, chapter 3. And again, these are detailed, guys. I want to touch the surface on these. Chapter 4, talk about communication. How do you communicate with people, Karen, in a way that they can receive? And I remember I teach project management guys for our apprenticeship electricians. And when we talk about project management, we say communication is a two-way street. I send and you receive. If I don't send properly or you don't receive properly, there is no communication, right? It's like when you tune to your favorite radio station, right? You try to tune to the right radio station frequency. If you get the wrong frequency, you wouldn't get communicating or listening to your favorites. So that's what communication is all about, guys. Communication skills and what's not. So that chapter talks about communication. Chapter 5 talks about teams, Karen. How do you build teams? Every project they're going to be working on, when you become project manager, you're going to be working with a team. And I don't know about you, Adam, but there are people I would rather not work with or work for, right? You guys haven't done with teams. You're going to be working with Shad Cooley Erickson. You will work with people that you really would rather not work with, but they're in the team. And we're human beings, guys. So how do you work in a team environment? Make sure you have 6 people in the team and you work together to deliver a product. How do you handle that team? So that's chapter 5. Chapter 6, diversity. Diversity, you guys have talked about diversity. I think you took diversity, right? Dunwoody, most of you. How do you deal with people who are different than you? Different attitude, different look, different gender, different whatever you want to what do you do? And I'm not, you guys have done a lot of diversity, but there's a chapter about dealing with people who are different than you. So that's a diversity. Number 7 says setting goals and securing commitment. How do you set a goal for a project? Our goal for the project, guys, is to deliver a project on time, under budget. That's your goal, and make profit out of it. Anything that diverge from this goal is a failure. So how do you achieve that one? So we have a whole chapter, guys, about setting goals and securing commitment. Scheduling. One of the things that we did, Karen, when you guys start doing 3 projects with your friend Chad, is we have a Microsoft project schedule. Do you guys remember that? And we build the schedule. You cannot achieve success if you don't plan. You can't, can you? I mean, you can't. People who plan, guys, tend to be more successful than people who don't plan in their life. It's just as simple as that. You need to do planning. So planning requires you to do scheduling. Why do we do planning and scheduling? Because we need to know where are we heading at every moment of the project. When you go to Mashad Cooley, guys, or you go to Hunt, every project that they do has a schedule, strict schedule, and we are to follow the schedule. If you don't want to follow schedules, you don't know how to follow schedules, you have problem fitting in this environment or type of any work for the most part. So scheduling is a major thing. Whole chapter talks about it. Moving into chapter 9, Karen, it talks about network analysis and duration estimating. So talk about, analyzing network and what's not, calculating project duration, project path. So getting technical in the projects. Resource management, talk about the human resources and the capital resources and managing resources profile. How do you manage the resources from your capital resources into human resources? Now you can't go ahead and die on you and you start ditching me, buddy. So we're talking about project management today, your friend Chad. So I picked for you, Derek, my friend, Practical Project Management book. So since you're going to be a project manager at Parsons in 10 years or 5 years, what do you think? Good question. Too early to decide, Chad. So what I'm doing, I'm going over this Practical Project Management, guys, overview of this book. I encourage you to buy it. There's so many, when it comes to project management, like I told my friends here, and Adam and Matt, there's so many books, guys, so many philosophies and what's not. I was a manager for 6 years at Dunwoody. You were here when I was a manager, right? Most of you guys. I was managing the department. You reach a point where, you don't want to do it, but the first book was recommended to me, Karen, when I became a project manager by a friend of mine who was a manager at Dunwoody, is 1 Minute Manager. He said, Chad, if you want to deal with people who are different, and I am the different too. Anybody can be different from anybody, right? Read this book. It's a very easy book. So 1 Minute Manager, really cool. I think it helped me personally managing people. For you guys, I picked a practical project management book with a couple of PowerPoint presentations I want to go over. So we talked about chapter 10, guys, resource management. How do you manage your man/woman force, people on your project? So when you become a project manager, how do you assemble, how many teams, how many members of the team you need? 5, 10 for this project? That's a major things, guys, when you design a project. Project control. The last thing you want to do after you plan and you put the right resources, the right management, what's not, you have to have a project control, because if you don't control your project, like we said, you're not gonna have succeed. So methods for project control, approaches to project control process, and what's not. And the last chapter talks, guys, about project control techniques, periodic control techniques, preventative control techniques, cost control. And when we were, what is it, Hunter or Parsons, a lot of these companies, guys, have a Microsoft project or whatever scheduling schedule that they have. They have scheduling software, and that becomes your means of control for the project. For example, Derek, when you guys are doing estimating with me, when you finish the first floor in a commercial building, when you finish it in the field, you're working on it in the field, your schedule should tell you how many manpower or people power you need for the first floor, and how many days you need to finish this project. And you keep track of your hours and your people on this project. And if you're not meeting this project schedule, you have to have a reason for not meeting the schedule. When you guys have a schedule and you don't meet it, it's not like you don't meet it, going to shoot you. It's at least you know that you're off track. Do you guys agree with me? Do you know that you're off track if you don't have a schedule? Do you know you're off track if you don't have a schedule? When I teach you guys, I do have a schedule right now. You see the schedule that we did? They gave you at the beginning, right? Schedule what we're doing. We diverge, right? We move to the left, move to the right, but we are heading to England. If your schedule is heading to England and you end up in Africa, you have a problem, right? That's what God bless his heart, my friend Gary Ryman. We used to talk about this one, you know. There's a fiercely independent group of people who are anti-planning, and there's something to be said about that one. You just want to let the people flourish and let the people think, and that's great. Awesome. In our industry, guys, in the engineering industry and delivering projects, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of doing things when we want to do it. We have customers, we have people depend on us, right, to deliver a project, and we are to plan for this project. So when we're sailed to Europe, we don't end up in Africa, because that will be the end of your career, probably in one of these major projects, personally, and it might be the downfall of your company if you plan to go to, Europe and you end up in Africa, or vice versa, Adam, right? So that's planning and scheduling is a major thing. So, gentlemen and ladies, this is what I picked for you. If you want to buy it, I think, I'm not sure if it is a newest version of it. This is an older version. But I thought that was really nice to start with. What I want to start with, guys, I don't have a lot of PowerPoint presentation for you, slides, but I want to start with a few things about the introduction. This talks about the element. Let me grab my highlighter. So it talks about the elements of a project management, head of the team. So here's your project management that you need to focus on. Shall we write Adam here? Project manager, Adam. Here's your Adam. You're on the top and you are managing a bunch of people. The first thing typically that you're managing is resource manager. That's resource manager. Now we're engineers, guys. So we have a team of engineers that's going to be assembled in order to do this project. Electrical engineers and mechanical engineers and what's not. And we also have customer liaisons. Those are the people, the marketing guys that go get the project for you. So you're a project manager, Adam, at Mashad Cooley, and you have a group of engineers assembled to do the project. And you have a couple of marketing guys got you went and they got you a hospital to build. and you have your human resource manager that said that hire a bunch of, they're coming today to hire you guys, a bunch of people, very qualified people to hire for you. So you have the manpower here, you put them in your engineering team, and you have your customers that can get you the project, the customer liaison get you the project, the engineering team is going to do the work with the help of the resource manager who is going to guarantee you the people. Then when you get the people, let's talk first about because we're in here, guys, let's talk about this aspect right in here first. So your engineering team, so you have, for your engineering team, guys, you're going to have typically an engineer on a project and a drafter or a designer, typically minimum. Every project that you do, Adam, minimum, is going to have an electrical engineer in charge of it, because in Minnesota and a lot of other states, you have somebody to sign off on the projects. So you have to have an electrical engineer, and you have to have a designer slash drafter. They don't call them drafters anymore. At least two. Now, the bigger the project, the more you have of these people. So you could have a hospital where you have 5 designers working in the hospital and 2 or 3 engineers plus a project manager. And those are responsible for the production of this project, the blueprints that you're looking at. So their job is to generate the design. So that's the design that in our project, guys, in our industry, the blueprints, generate your blueprints. And then you as a project manager, Adam, right at the head of this, you're going to be coordinating with the engineering team that they have for you. And your engineering team is going to be, say, Chad is an electrical engineer, Matt and Derek are going to be your designers. So 3 people working with you. You are the project manager, coordinating with those guys. You see, look at all the communication, guys. I want to bring to your attention that the communication is two-way street. There's communicating between you as a project manager and your team, your engineering team, right? How do you communicate? A lot of engineering firms, guys, have weekly scheduled meetings. Morning meetings for half an hour to an hour for every project. So every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, Adam, 8 to 9, we meet as a project team, or team project, and we discuss what's going on in this particular project. So that's our electrical part. Our counterparts right here, guys, would be the mechanical, another team for the mechanical, answer for the same project manager, another structural, architectural, if it's all in the same house. So you can have a project manager that have team of electrical engineers and designers, team of mechanical engineers and designers, team of architectural people and their drafters, team of civil engineers, and Mr. Adam is coordinating the whole show, basically. Any comments, guys, about what the project manager can do with the teams? So you can have multiple teams right underneath them. And that's what happened in most of the project, guys, like in Mishad Cooley Erickson. You will have a project manager, head of the project, and coordinate have mechanical and electrical. They're mechanical electrical companies, so they're mechanical electrical answer to a project manager. The teams, because ultimately the output that you deliver is mechanical electrical drawings out of that firm. If you are like LRB Beckett, where we used to do mechanical electrical structural, all big house, so you have one project manager, typically an architect, guys, in charge of every one of us. Under the same project manager, Karen, you will have architects running the whole show. You have a group, an architectural leader that manage the architectural group, and you have electrical leader, project leader that manage the electrical. You have mechanical underneath it, civil, structural. Each one of these disciplines have a leader that they all ultimately answer to the project manager. So this is where you can find all these disciplines in this area. Any comments, guys, about the disciplines engineering team answering to the project manager? Who could be in an engineering, mechanical, electrical engineering firm, could be you, Adam, could be any one of us. If you have an architectural engineering firm, typically it's an architect leading the whole project. Okay, so now that's the team that's going to be doing it. Customer liaison and defines expectation. Those are the guys typically that they go get you the project and coordinate with the owners, keep hunting for projects, bring business to the company. That customer liaison could be also the project manager, or could be somebody else. And you have to coordinate between the project manager, have to coordinate between those guys too. What's the customer expectation? Can you guys see the communication is always two-way streets? You talk to me, when you need, and I talk to you. So it's not just giving orders. It's two-way street. Very, very important. And the last thing, my friends, is you have the human resources. You can't manage a project, guys, unless you have the right resources for that particular project. So you have to have the human resources for the project. And your human resources manager will get you the right. They're coming here. Do you guys see them almost every week? We have somebody coming in here to hire. Why do you think they're hiring? Can't have a project, a team without people. And not just the people. You need the right people. Everybody's dying to have the right people. Not just the people, because the last thing you want to do is hire the wrong people on the project. Would you do that, Adam or Derek? Would you guys hire the wrong people? What happened if you hire the wrong people on a project? It can bring your project down. So are you a project manager that we're going to hire? You're going to see Derek at Parsons and Adam at Mashad. There are project managers fight over certain engineers and designers to put those group of people on their team, because your success depends on the group of people who work for you. As easy as that. Now, as an engineering firm and electrical contractor, guys, they come to us at Dunwoody and elsewhere to find the right group of people. So hopefully you guys are the right group of people, which I have no doubt that you are, in that particular system. So after you get the right people here and you put them on the team, you have to continue to do train people. And after you guys finish from here, Derek, I don't know if they're going to send you to any other training for Accubid. Accubid comes to town here, I think once a year or twice a year, and they do a 3-day training for estimating. So that's where human resources say that here's a young man wants to be fluent with Accubid. Chad Kearney gave him 10% of what he needs to. Now let's go send him to another training. Maybe they'll give him another 70% or whatever. Train the people. So you continue to work on training people. So that's for the most part, guys, what a project management is. You have a project manager dealing with multiple teams. So you can see the obstacle and the progress is completely communicated between these two teams. I can't emphasize, Adam, I don't know if you guys can see the communication is always two-way streets, not me ordering you. Though hierarchy is there, I always tell the people, I was a manager for 6 years, guys. I said, Derek, you work for me. I will listen to you dearly. And if we disagree on something, unless you convince me otherwise, and I'm your supervisor, you have to do it. So you guys have to learn one thing. In business is not democracy. I mean, it's not as democracy, like you don't vote on things. So when you have a team, Derek, you're going to say your opinion, of course. Your opinion should be heard, analyzed, but ultimately the project management is going to take your opinion and Adam's opinion and Matt's opinions and Karen's opinion and everybody else's opinion, cook him in his or her own brain and come up with something that could agree 50% with Adam and disagree 100% with Matt, and 50% agree with you, and come up with something that's as weird as you can imagine. And you might be the person that doing this decision, and it will piss off people, will make them upset, and you'll see that in your life. And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, ultimately, the project manager, guys, the project manager, is responsible for the project. So if you guys tell me right now, we're going to go to China, and all of you, and I took their information, analyzed it, and said, no, there are no other rocks, we're going to go to England. And we went to England, and we fail in our trip. Guess who's responsible? You're looking at it, your head is on the table, so you're going to go. So that's why when your boss or somebody else, guys, when you negotiate, when you tell them your opinion, and they seem to not have done what you want them to do, I hope they have their own reason to. Be aware that you, as a project manager, it's your project. You're responsible for it, ultimately. So your team, you should listen to your team, get their opinion, understand why they come up. But you're going to learn, Derek, in life, when you deal with people, when you become a project manager, managing 14 people, Adam walks into your office, tells you, let's head east. Derek and then Matt will be walking second day, say, well, let's go north. And Karen will be saying, well, let's go south. You know what I mean? People have different opinions about the same thing, different background, different opinion. And your job is to take all these multi-direction, cook them in your brain, and pick the right direction for your company. And it's not always easy, guys. It's not always easy. It really is. So that's why you're a project manager. Ultimately you're responsible for that particular delivery of the project. So that's communication between all the team members, the groups that you have. I talked about the discipline, guys. Here's my electrical discipline here. Here's my mechanical discipline. We have architectural discipline. We have structural. We have environmental. Environmental could be here. What else did we? Electrical, mechanical, architectural, structural, civil. We have civil. All these guys are teams, engineering teams that you're going to be coordinating with as a project manager. Any comments, gentlemen? Any questions? Anybody wants to be a project manager? Adam, makes sense? Good. Challenging, but doable, nevertheless. Okay. So let's go directly into project manager. I don't like the way we do that one. Okay. Okay, so project manager. The success of you as a project manager, guys, depend on very, very important things. Here's your project, Adam, and we said Adam is our project. And your goal is to succeed in the project. How do you succeed in the project? You have an engineering or a contract. We're electrical guys, so we have electrical engineering project or electrical construction project, right? And we need to succeed. The single most important thing is, have you delivered deliverable? The project, you have to deliver the project to the customer, right? If you're working for Mashed Cooley Erickson Karen, delivering the project will be the blueprint and the specification, right? We have finished, done the blueprints and the specification. If you're working for Parsons, Derek, your job when the project is done is you have walked the customer through a building that's completely electrically functional. That's your job. The customer is so happy with you guys, they brought you the last check, and you have just finished the building electrically with great coordination between you and all other disciplines. That's your deliver. Have you delivered what you're supposed to deliver? A complete design project, if you're working for engineering firms, right? Blueprints and specification, completely done. Or, Adam, if you're working for electrical contractors, a completely functional electrical installation for that particular building. Am I making sense, guys, what's your deliverable if you're in the engineering field? When you guys did, when you did your 3 projects with me, we had the Microsoft project, and each one of these aspects has a deliverable. Finish the riser. Yep, here's your deliverable. Finish the power layout and circuiting, Adam. Here's the deliverable. And these are the ultimate deliverable for the project, is a set of blueprints and specification. If you're in engineering firms, if you're electrical contractor, guys, a electrically finished building. Everything works, right? So that's your deliverable. Now, here's the problem is, Adam, I can deliver things a year late, but it's still deliverable, and $1 million over budget, still deliverable, right? But not enough to deliver the product, guys. You have to deliver the project within the 2 following constraints: time and budget. So if you're delivering late, that's not deliverable in the industry. Not the best deliverable. You got to have a reason for being late. If you deliver your project late, it's not acceptable. If you deliver your project over budget, it's unacceptable. You're not going to stay in business for long. Am I making sense, Derek? So you deliver a project within budget, on time. That's what the ultimate success of a project is. Simple. Deliver a project on time. When you guys are working for takeoff, when you take off, you have 2 weeks to finish the takeoff. You finish the takeoff in 2 weeks. If you can't finish the takeoff in 2 weeks, I know we're in school, but if you're working for my firm and you cannot finish it in 2 weeks, you better have a really good reason for not finishing it in 2 weeks. A really good reason. My cat died, Derek, could be one of them. I'm going to pick on you today. My grandma passed away, and I have to go to the funeral. A good reason too. But Am I making sense, guys? The success of the project depend upon the delivery of that project to the customers on time, within budget. Any comments, guys? Any questions about that one? That's what you are doing as a project manager. Now, I don't know about you, Karen or Derek, unless you guys prophets or have connection with with the Lord up there, you cannot, shall not, I'm not kidding you, or a Superman or woman, Superwoman. You guys watch a Superwoman? Superman or Superwoman. Unless you are one of these two or have connection with the higher power up there, you shall not, will not be able, Adam, to deliver a project on time, within budget, unless you have the following. That's the resources that you need to deliver your project on time, within budget. Unless you're a Superman or Superwoman, right? Okay, let's start with the first thing, planning. If you don't know how to plan, you're in the wrong business. Now, let me just go back and scale down, guys. You're a designer. Adam, you're expected as a designer. When you walk into Moshaad Cool Erickson, somebody have planned your day for you. You don't have to worry about that one. You just have to do your own stuff. Same thing, Derek, you're working for you. You have somebody have planned what you're supposed to do for you. Now, your employees, you have to plan your own things within everybody you have to have plan, but when you're a project manager, guys, you are planning everybody's life. How are they going to fit in this project? When you walk in, Adam, and they tell you that you're going to be working today in this project, somebody have decided that Adam is going to be shifted to this project to do it. When you become the project manager, that will be your responsibility. Planning, planning, planning. Planning, guys, meaning you have to write things in electronic planning. So in this day and age, we have calendars. You have to use calendar for planning. A lot of people have a planner. A lot of engineers, guys, have calendar that plan their day, their weeks. What every day, what each one of your team members that's supposed to be working on, right? And it could be as elaborate as describing every activities every day, or it could be as simple as saying this week Adam is working on laying out power for the hospital. That's all. So planning, planning, planning. I cannot emphasize having a plan. The plan has to have time and constraints and deliverable. When you have a plan, guys, what are we achieving? As simple as the classes that I gave you guys, the first thing you have a schedule, right? We write the schedule there. What do you guys think this is? Planning. You can't achieve things without planning. If you're not planning, you're not achieving things. I always use this one for the fiercely independent, free-spirited group of people that we have among us, which rightfully so, we like to have them too, because they're needed, because they can think outside the box. But ultimately, if you are a project manager and if you want to deliver, guys, you cannot get around planning. Am I right, Matt? Can you do things without planning for a major hospital? You're building a hospital. Can you build a hospital without planning? Meaning step by step, how you're going to design this project and or build it electrically, right? When you did Microsoft project with me, guys, remember how we did the pre-design, meet with the customers, we assigned a plan. Now we start looking at our plan and saying, are we meeting our plan? Okay, with the planning, Adam, the next step that you need to do is resources. You can plan as much as you want. If you don't have the resources to do your plan is worthless. Do you guys agree with your friend Chad? You can plan as much as you want. If you don't have the resources to do your plan is worthless. Resources are two, Adam. You, as a human being, people force or workforce, you're a resource, and also the material resources. If you're working for an engineering firm, guys, you have to have the right softwares, you have to have the right computers, you have to write everything that you need, the material resources, and the right people who are driving all these softwares. Derek, at Parsons, your resources in your office is a good place to sit, heated, cool, right? Comfortable for you to sit and work. You have a laptop with multiple screens, I assume, or you will be in order to do your takeoff because you're doing takeoff. That's material resources. And behind all these material resources, a very talented young man like yourself driving all these material resources. That's how you succeed in a project. Can you guys succeed without this? Did you see it's common sense? Don't you think it's project management and common sense? But putting it in this format, hopefully it drives it home. So resources. Now we have the planning, we planned, and we have the resources to do it, Adam. Now you do a schedule. and you have the people sitting there, and you throw your schedule in the drawer, and you don't look at it again. Is that good planning and good managing of your resources? You have to have control. What is the control means? A good control, guys, would be your weekly meetings to look at the schedule. Now, we're supposed, if you're engineering firms, guys, this week, Adam, our team supposed to have been done with all the power layout. So at the end of the week, the project manager go and look at your work and say, are you done with what you're supposed to have done? The control process. If not, we have to have a reason for not. It's not like shoot you if you're not done, but you better have a good reason for not meeting these deadlines and what's not. Control. So control, guys, looking at your planning and resources and see, are they matching? Are your resources, human being, are your goals that you set for this project matching your plans? Are you off the track? You plan your project and your project is going, guys, here's my project. My project schedule is going like this, okay? And then my plan, and this is financial, and I'm going right close to it, that's fine. So here's my plan, here's my actual, we're going close. Now look at this, what happens if your project is going this way? And here's what you're planning for. And here's where your project heading in terms of goals. Don't you think we have a problem? Right? This is your time. Here, this is your deliverable. This is what you're delivering to the customers. You're delivering, you have a lot of time and you're not delivering a whole lot to the customers within time. Do you think it's an issue? Absolutely. This would definitely be an issue. Any comments, guys? Any questions about the most important thing about the project, Adam? You deliver a complete project on time within budget. You do that by planning and managing your resources and controlling the process. That's as simple as that. That's your introduction to project management. Any comments, my friends? Any questions? And if you guys have the book, there's a lot of details about the process and what's not. But that's objectives. Okay, there's in order to do the control, Adam, when we do control for your project, part of the control for your project is to have meetings. Weekly meetings, typically. When you have a meeting, Karen, the last thing you want to do is go to a meeting without a goal. Just let's meet today just for the sake of it, right? Sit around, meet. So the first thing you need to do, Adam, when you have a meeting, as part of your, now you plan the resources that we need to do the control. We'll set the meeting. Why are we meeting? Well, we're going to follow up and see, have Adam done with his takeoff at this point, or Matt? That's what the planning is, meeting. You have a goal for it. When you have a goal, first thing, we're going to see where we are sitting on terms of taking off a residential, commercial, industrial project, right? The second thing is the length. How long will this meeting last? They suggest 20 minutes, could be 2 hours, could be 3 hours. So a weekly meeting, an hour is not bad attention for a weekly meeting, the long. So don't go sit there for 5 hours wasting your time and everybody else's time, like some managers will meet and chat and fishing and all this good stuff. Frequency, how often do you want to meet? A lot of the projects, guys, typically meet weekly for 1 hour, construction project. Weekly for a half an hour to an hour, depending how much you need. Engineering firms and all the effective members of this team will be sitting in that meeting. So we have the goal, we have the length, we have the frequency, location. Where are you going to meet? Communicate this information, guys, with the team members. Put them in a location that's comfortable for people to sit in. Everybody knows it. So location, decide the right location for the meeting. Attendance. Part of your frustration, Adam, when you're a project manager, is one of your team walk in 10 minutes late. So, and it happens. You walk into a meeting and the meeting is half an hour, Adam, and you have Derek, and somebody's walking in an hour meeting, 10 minutes late. It drives a lot of people nuts. The fiercely independent I call it Indian horse spirit type of people. They don't care because if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, it will come again. In a real project, guys, you come 10 minutes late to every single meeting, we have an issue. Either the meeting is not important, you shouldn't be in this meeting, right? Or to you, it's not important, so you shouldn't be in this meeting. Maybe the meeting sucks. Maybe I shouldn't be in this meeting. Or if you have to be in this meeting, we think the project manager think you're important, and you're still continuously coming late. I'm not saying, guys, you're going to shoot people in the head. You have to have a talk with people. And that's where reprimand become an issue. You have to sit people and remind them once, twice, 3 times. Um, and then after that, I don't know, what would you do there? You're a project manager. You have a very important meeting, and Chad walks into your meeting. I'm not talking about my classes, you guys. I think they're important, but you're paying a lot of money. If you come late 5 minutes, that's you're paying me. But if I was my project, and I'm managing you a person, and you walked 5 minutes late on my every time, we have an issue. What would you do, Derek?
Probably just tell you to stay outside.
Stay outside? Is that what is it? Do you have a policy for that? Did they talk about policies in your?
Not, I feel like that, but that's probably you. I don't think I'd walk in late. I think because the manager.
You don't want to do that, especially as an employee, guys. And you also, your expectation, when you set expectation with your people, part of the expectation is you have to set goals and expectation. My expectation is to you be on time all the time. And I'm flexible with you guys. I know I am with Dunwoody. But if you work for my own, if you work for me, if I pay you salary, you'll see a different Chad. It really is, right? Wouldn't you expect that? We're making money. You have a different, you're not contributing to the bottom line. You're not having your have attitude and all this good stuff. So time, attendance, um, the size of the team. How many people are going to be in the team? Are we going to involve the electrical contractors? Are we going to involve, or is it just the designers? If it's design at Mishad, are we involving the mechanical guys? So that's a project manager guys have to decide. Is this an electrical meeting only, or is this a project meeting, general project meeting only? At LB Beckett, we had a project meeting for the whole disciplines guys sitting there and discussing certain things, and we have also discipline meetings. The preparation as a project manager, Adam, when you call for a meeting, it is your responsibility to have something to talk about. Number one, you have to have a plan. Why are we meeting? One of your plan good is to pick up the brain of the people. That's okay. I'm going to meet today and say, hey, Derek, how are you doing? Good, check. Hey, Adam, how are you doing? Good, check. That could be your goal, but you have to lead. You can't just sit there and say, okay, now we're here. What shall we do? You'll see some of these meetings, guys, not in the construction and engineering industry, in other industries where you sit there and let's look at each other and talk about the weekend the bar fight or whatever. Um, and I understand you want to build relationship with people. We're not machines, guys. We have to build relationship. So if you want to build relationship, a lot of good managers, which you know what they do, they schedule intentionally 10 minutes for bullshitting, basically. Sit around and chat around and hey. That's intentionally scheduled because we're a human being. I care about what you're doing. You know what I mean? That's scheduled. But you can't make the half an hour meeting. Can you make guys 20% of his horseshit? I mean, come on, man, you're wasting your time. Let's take 10% and visiting with each other. How are you doing? And how is the snowstorm? Blah, blah, blah. That's the 10%, then move on to the next topic. So that's where we're part of meeting. And accountability. When you come to the meeting, so you set expectations. So next meeting, next time, we decide we're going to meet. Matt, you are going to be done with laying out your receptacles and lights, right? For that project. Adam, you're going to be doing the low voltage layout. So we'll meet the next day, the next meeting, and you come. That's called accountability. Have you finished what you said you're going to finish? If you work, I know I am lean as a teacher, and you guys know that. So I give you the next. If you were working with me and a good employee, you got to have a reason for not finishing what you're supposed to do. You got to have a really good reason. Otherwise, maybe you're not the right employee. As simple as that. Maybe we need to get you training. And people, guys, don't jump the gun and start firing people, because when you have a good employee, you're going to hold on them. But the question a good manager will ask, Derek, if you're not done with your project, say, okay, what can I do to give that individual, what type of resources have I failed to give you to do your job right? That's what a good manager do. So go ask yourself, what do you need um, that I give you? Maybe my schedule was too tight. Maybe I gave him more than he or can deliver, right? Right? So a project manager, guys, at Mishad, at LLB Beckett or Parsons, they have done multiple projects. So they have an idea how long will it take somebody like Adam to lay out the receptacle in a building. It's known. It takes, say, a week on average from all the projects. So Adam is taking, I'm not going to pick a new Adam here, taking 2 weeks. Okay, why? Maybe Adam lacks some skills in the CAD. Maybe we need to train him a little bit more with CAD, right? Maybe we should team him up. That's what Mishad does. Maybe we should team him up with somebody who is really good, faster, and show him the tricks. That's what you do with somebody. Build him up. You don't kill him. You build him up. But now if Adam, or let's go to Matt, now Matt, the same thing. If Matt continues to do the same thing, we trained him, we teamed him up with somebody, gave him everything he continues to deliver things late. Maybe it's not the right industry for you. It really is. Bottom line, you're going to reach a point. Maybe it's not the right industry. You are a very good person, but maybe this industry is not you. But maybe this industry is not your industry. Make sense? The right choice for you, because we have different things. Okay, any comments, guys? Any questions about the introduction to the project management? Comments, questions? If you guys don't mind, I'm going to give you maybe 5 minutes, and I'm going to do one more chapter. I promise you, and then I'll let you go. Is that good? Thank you. I'm going to talk about change. Thank you. Project manager, probably the single most, after you set your goals, you control the process, you plan, the single most important thing that's going to face you is change. After you stay at a company, Matt, for 15 years, you have been doing your work for 15 years, you will, and all of a sudden they want you to start going from Acubid into McCormick or into any other software. That's called change. Change is painful. People don't like change. People like to, they like to do what they like to do when they like to do it, right? Especially when you become an employee. So Derek, you're a project manager now. You have 15 employees for you. They have been working for 10 years each, and they have been doing their own way, and they're successful. And all of a sudden, oops, we have to switch track. So let's talk a little bit about first, why do we change? Why do you change? First of all, why would we change? A major change that's happening, Adam, in our industry right now, or did happen in the last 5-6 years, is Revit. Revit in the engineering community versus CAD. There are designers, guys, and electrical designers and architects have been doing CAD for years. And all of a sudden, new software pop, and we're doing Revit. And Revit, not complicated, you guys have done it, but some old timers resist the existence of Revit. So, changes, external changes can be exposed to you. The industry came up with something faster. Everything changes, right? Faster. So a lot of it, guys, external changes. A couple of things could be the economic condition. The economy change. We're no longer doing hospitals. Now we're going to go sport arenas. So you have to change and learn new skills. Available of raw material, we don't have certain things. We have to have something different for us. Labor pool, we have different type of group of people. That's why you see all those guys coming today, guys, to come to you. Why do you think they're coming to you? They're looking at the old timers in their companies who don't want to learn new skills, and you, the new generation, are learning new skills. So as project manager, that you're going to see one today, 10:30 sitting here, try to solicit you to get in there. You're in the new generation. You're the one who accept change more than the old timers. Interest rate, competition, distribution channels, all these things could be reasons why things change. If you don't change, you will find yourself out of business. Things change, expect change, embrace change. It's painful. And I'm like you, Derek, if you imagine, here's what changed for you. Every time I come to Dunwoody, I take Highway 100. Imagine if every day I have to take a different street to come to Dunwoody. Every day. Well, miserable. Wouldn't you think that's miserable? Um, there's a reason why we resist change, guys. As a human being, it's easy knowing where you go home every day to your work, and it's easy. So when people resist and change, you as a project manager, you have to understand why people resist change. Easier to do the things that we have been doing for a long time. So change often meets resistance. Expected, Adam. A couple of things. So a couple of things that you have to keep in mind when you're doing your change. Oops, where's my highlighters? Okay, so I think I should be able to write here. There you go. All right. So when you can erase too. So resistance. So when you are project managers, guys, you have to expect resistance. A couple of resistance come from I don't like it and you cannot make me do it. Would you tell that to your boss? I don't like it. We're moving to Revit and I really don't like it. I've been doing CAD for years. I don't like it and you can't make me do it. That's one approach for change, right? The company's goals are wrong. You guys are stupid. You don't know what you're doing. Somebody, guys, you're a project manager. You're gonna hear this from somebody who has been with the company for 15 years. They will tell you that you guys are stupid. You don't know what you're doing. So how are you going to be, as a project manager, what's going to be your approach, right? I know they are going to fire me, so who cares? Here's another approach for you. I know you guys are young, but nobody wants to do that, right? Things are okay as they are. Why do they want to change? Why do they want to change? Painful. So these are the things that you can hear when change happens. Now, two things. Number one, the change, not every change is good. You have to know that. Not every change is good. As a project manager, you only need to do the change if it's necessary for your project. For example, everybody jumped into Revit. You'll be stupid if you're an engineering firm and you don't jump on project, especially if you're dealing with architects. If you will survive, change survivability. You have to change. So when you decide as a project manager or leadership, guys, that change is necessary, then your job now is to deal with people in your company who is very competent, Adam, very smart people working for you, and here's their answers. And how are you going to deal with them? Those guys, 15 years, they're designers, they're good. How are you going to motivate them to do what they're supposed to do? So these are the questions that you need to answer for those group of people. So the response, so of course, ultimately, you want everybody to buy into that change that you're doing. So the change, how does the change affect the manager, guys? You as a manager, you're balancing between knowing that your company have to change to survive and your employees, or some of them, are resisting it. And you are to balance this together. You don't want to be too harsh on your employees so they can quit and leave you dry, right? And you don't want to also not do the change so you'll fall. So that's, Derek, you're going to sit there and how am I going to balance that? I need to change, but I need to get them to buy into the change. Get your employees to buy into the change. So there's methods of getting your employees to buy, balancing as a project manager. You balance it and you need to get your employees to buy into the change. When there is a change, guys, people are divided into groups. Group number one is negative. You'll find it, 4 of you guys. If I have to change something, I'm going to start with you, Matt. You will be negative. It will never work. Never work. Stupid. They're not doing it. And you'll hear this all the time. They're not going to work it. No, not going to work it. That's a negative approach. Accepting. Matt, Adam will say, yep, we're on it. You have the go-getters in your company that will say, yep, we have to do it. They jump in. And you have other people who are in between. You know, you have the extreme that says it will never work, the people who jump in, and the in between. And your job is to get the majority of your people to buy into the change. Make sense? Buy into the change, because if they don't buy into the change, Derek, you and your company are going under. Okay, so how do you do it as a project manager? Develop awareness of the external factors. So when you have a change, we're moving from AutoCAD, Karen, into Revit. My company have been doing AutoCAD for years. The first thing you need to do is develop awareness of external changes. In fact, why are we changing? explain to the people why are we changing. So you just don't tell them we're switching into CAD. You might have to have a couple of meetings, show them, maybe bring an architect. A lot of people, guys, what they do is they bring an architect to a group of engineers who have been resentment to AutoCAD, and the architect sit there in front of you and say, hey guys, we wouldn't hire you again if you don't jump into Revit. Would that be, Adam, would that be an incentive for you to learn Revit? When they say we wouldn't hire you, what does we wouldn't hire your firm to do the work? Means you have no job. So I hope that would be incentive for you to get in. So explain to them, recognize the cause and effect relationship. Tell them if we learn this software, we will have more jobs. So we'll have job security. A lot of us would like to have job security, promotion. We can, profit sharing. So tell them what that change, how would that change affect the performance of the organization, and explain to them. So that's take creative approaches. A lot of people, guys, a lot of companies, bigger companies, when they have a change, they take their employees to a certain location, a resort or something. They have a party and they have a couple of motivation speakers and a bunch of others. Those are the big people. Even I remember at Ellerby Beckett, they used to once a year, they get a party and they get a motivation speaker, talk about change, effective change in a funny way, and they bring somebody who's not an engineer like Chad, creative people who look at change from different aspects, have cartoons and make people laugh about change. So that's a creative way of making the people buy into your change. So your job is to make your people perceive change as positive, and you have to get them to buy into that situation. So that's guys, and you as an individual, that's the organization as a manager. Now you as an individual too, you have to learn that change is survivability. If you think you guys graduate from Dunwoody here, Derek, and you call it a quit and no learning anymore, no quizzes with Chad, you're wrong. There will be changes, guys, coming all the time. There will be new version of Revit that will require you to go to training. Adam, there will be a new version of Acubed, Derek, that require you to go do it. Same thing, Matt. There will be things. So your job is, they call it continuous improvement, continuous education for yourself, guys, to continuously educate yourself if you want to succeed. As a project manager, definitely you have to. I mean, you have no choice. If you're a project manager, you're no choice but to be always at the top of your game. So change, now that's change for you guys. Change for the organization. Urgent change management. They can, what happened as a project manager, the single thing, the major thing that happened when you have a change is low morale. The morale is low. You walk in, Derek, at Parsons or Hunt, and everybody's pissed off. Imagine running a company like this. Hey.
Can we interrupt you for a second?
Yes, please.
You want to come down and watch us turn on the panel?
Right now?
That's all we
At
have to
this
do.
moment?
Take a minute.
Can you give me just 2 minutes?
I'll give you 2 minutes.
A wrap up?
We're gonna fire, I thought maybe you want to see it when we fire it up first.
2 minutes, we'll wrap up. 2 minutes, literally.
I'll wait 5 minutes for you, then we'll fire it up.
Okay, because I'm wrapping up that one. Thank you.
I thought you might want to see it.
Yeah, I would love to. So, okay, so as a project manager, guys, you need to deal with poor morale. Yeah, that's the first and the most important thing, poor morale. The people walk in, everybody's pissed off. Is this a company that you want to run? So you have to build the morale of the people. You have to convince them. So ultimately, guys, here's where your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is everybody sings together. That's where you come. Everybody sings together. How can I contribute? That's what you want the people. I like the variety. Learning something new promotes growth. I'm glad to see the company going forward. These are the things that you want your employees to think when it comes to change. But in order to make the people think this way, Adam, you have to convince them. How do you convince them? Not by, the one approach is firing them. Walk in and you don't want to learn Revit, you're fired. Really? After 15 years of building some good employee, you want to fire them? We want him to buy into the system. Buying into the system, guys, meaning you train him, explain why we're doing the change and how it's going to impact the organization, right? And you might have to meet with them individually, meet with a group, explain it, and then give them the resources to change. Don't tell me to start designing with Revit without giving me a training for Revit, right? Get them the resources to change. And then expect them to change and do this. Now, if you explain to them and you give them the resources to change, resources means time and material, guys, to change, and they still didn't change, what were you going to do, Derek? I'm looking at you because you're a tough guy. Maybe this is not the right organization for you. And that would be the last resort, guys, with a good employee. The last resort. You want the people to buy into your system. So that's what the change is. Change is always hard. You expect the people to resent change. Your job is to explain that change for them, make them buy into the change. And there's method of making buy into the change and ultimately making them sing together. So as a group, believe in the change, believe that this change is for their own growth in order to succeed in this organization, and give them the resources to change, Adam, and the time. And if they don't change, gentlemen, the final solution would be, I hate to say it, but you would be, as a project manager, sometimes say, maybe this is not the right organization for you. A good organization, guys, what they did with, like Michelle, and everybody else who don't like Revit, for example, and they're really good designers, a good manager will shift them. They shift them to a place where they're only doing CAD, if they can. Now, if you can't, there's no jobs for you. And people understand. When you explain to them, they do understand. So that's your challenge with change. Summarize, minimize, because I want to go look at the photovoltaic system. Any comments, guys? Any questions about change? So I can't emphasize, Karen, this is a good book. Very similar, talks about change. That's major things that affect you as a project manager. Change is always hard. Deal with it as explain it to your people, give them the resources to change. And the last resort should be is to get rid of your workforce because of change. The last resort. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.